Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is June 26th. Up early today with the thunderstorm activity off the coastline. You can see we do have this band of precipitation with our next storm system moving in here. You cannot rule out some lightning strikes as we go through the morning and afternoon hours today associated with this. This area right here did produce a few lightning strikes. Here's the Langley radar that's picking up this information. And if we take a look here, I'm going to scroll towards my radar Omega, and this activity here across Highway 2 did produce a few lightning strikes, so that could be something that's going to be going on as we go through the day today. We're going to take a look at that in some detail. You can see this thunderstorm has already moved north of Lincoln here, moving up across the higher terrain where the Doppler radar doesn't pick it up quite as well. And now we're going to take a look at the mid-level water vapor. This gives you a great idea of what is going on. And again, we have the thunderstorm potential with this system as we go through the day today. There goes that thunderstorm that moved up across Highway 2 and Lincoln. You can see the activity across southeast Oregon as we speak. Some thunderstorms starting to pop up here. And if you look really close at the beginning of that loop here, there, I think it might not include it, but this morning there was a couple lightning strikes right off the Oregon coast. If we take a look at Spokane National Weather Service, they are all over it as per usual here, but we're getting a little bit of conflicting information what the SPC is saying as far as what areas are subject to thunderstorms. You can see this does include Winthrop, Omak, Republic here, and Chelan, Wenatchee are in the elevated risk here as well today, but the SPC does keep a lot of these areas in eastern Washington under the gun here for a thunderstorm as we go through the day today. This is Medford, Oregon. I just want to point out the red flag warning does exist here for the fire danger. It does include Silver Lake, Paisley, and Lakeview, for example. So heads up for that, especially east of the Cascades. This is just east of Crater Lake there, again, across from southern Oregon, southeast Oregon. Now, taking a look at the SPC, according to the Pendleton National Weather Service, this has been since updated, and this is pushed off to the west. I'll show you that map here in a moment, but you can see there is the chance for some lightning activity here today, and we could get some fire starts with this activity here as well. Now, taking a look at today, you can see this morning they have this threat here across the east slopes of the Cascades, some of eastern Washington, but like I said, we've already had some off the coastline here. We're getting some lightning strikes across some of eastern Washington also as we speak. So there is a threat here for places like Portland, Seattle, and western Washington up into British Columbia as we go through this morning here. It's kind of flip a coin on whether or not we're going to actually see lightning activity, however. And then you go through this afternoon hours and you can kind of see that activity pick up across some of the northern Cascades, the east slopes of the Cascades as well. And again, this kind of pushes into some of southwest BC and western Washington. Now, taking a look at the SPC, officially they have this just off to the east of Seattle here. It does include eastern Washington, Oregon, the Cascades, and this threat here for some marginal severe is a wind threat here across portions of Idaho, includes Boise and Butte, Montana, for example. And if we go on to day two, Spokane under the gun tomorrow for thunderstorm activity, some of the higher terrain up into British Columbia as well. And there is a severe threat if you start going east of Butte, Montana here. And according to the SPC, places like Pendleton and Bend are not going to be under a thunderstorm threat for tomorrow. Looking at Seattle yesterday, 80 degrees here. So that's 7 degrees above normal. Quite a nice, sunny, warm day out there yesterday. And yeah, it's going to be cooling down here because we got the system rolling through here today, and then the trough's going to be overhead tomorrow. Average high for this time of year, 73. By the end of the month, we get towards 74. Looking at Bellingham, 75, 6 degrees above average as well. No precipitation in the bucket. And same thing for Hoquiam, about 7 degrees above average. No precipitation yesterday. Now, taking a look at the North American model, this one is, I believe this one is from last night. It is the new 12Z run, has not started going yet, but we'll take a look at this. You can see as we scroll through this morning, it's about 9 a.m. Check it out. Some places like Yakima, maybe Ellensburg, up towards Blewett Pass, and then eventually Chelan as we go through this morning, could be getting some thunderstorm activity with this. And then you can see some of the showers popping up across some of the higher terrain of southwest Washington, the coastal range of Oregon. And you can see some of these coming across western Washington, the North Cascades. These could have lightning potential as we go through the late morning and afternoon hours. And then we scroll on in through tonight, and you can see the showery weather is going to be with us through tomorrow. Trough will be overhead. Convergence zone starts to fire up here as we go through Thursday afternoon also, and then eventually slides off into the Cascades by the time we get towards Friday morning here. And then we dry out for a day or two before another system starts to roll in here. More on that here in a moment. Taking a look at the lightning flash density potential on the European model here. So it did show a little bit of activity off the coastline here, and then it shows some of this activity firing up across some of the southern Washington Cascades. It didn't really show too much across southeast Oregon. You kind of see the difficulty the models have with picking up on some of this lightning potential. It even shows a little bit of potential there for western Washington, but this should be moving up across the Cascades and portions east, Idaho Panhandle here, all the way down towards Boise, Montana, British Columbia, the Rocky Mountains. Thunderstorm potential exists for today. And then as we scroll on in through tomorrow, you'll see some of that activity across northeast Washington, British Columbia, and portions off to the east from there. And if we go on into Friday and Saturday, we kind of wane that thunderstorm threat here across much of the region. But then we'll see what that next system has in store for us. If we look at the high resolution rapid refresh here, I'm going to see if this has been updating. There we go. We got the 12Z information in here now. And it did pick up some of this activity off the coastal areas here, maybe overdoing it a little bit. But you can see it does show that little bit of a potential here across some of western Washington. But better chances probably across maybe Lake Chelan, North Cascades up into British Columbia. And the HRRR has been differing from the European in that it's not showing that lightning across some of the southern Washington Cascades. So you can kind of see this is the forecaster's nightmare trying to predict where these thunderstorms are going to occur. Now, taking a look at the artificial intelligence European run, I want to show you what happened here. We're going to scroll off into the extended a little bit. This is our next system rolling in here, the one we're dealing with right now. And then we come through on in through Friday into Saturday, kind of a weak transient ridge sliding through here. And then we've got this next trough rolling through as we go through the week, and that bring a little bit of precipitation. And then you can see as we scroll up to the extended, we get this ridge building here. We're now on into July 3rd here, and you can see big flip-flop here because this is yesterday morning's run versus today's, or actually yesterday afternoon's run. So 12-hour difference in these runs here, and you can see ridging versus some pretty deep troughing here over the Pacific Northwest. So the artificial intelligence has completely flip-flopped. It now shows the ridging for the 4th of July. This is about the time the fireworks are going off right here. So that is a huge difference. Now we're going to take a look at the deterministic models here starting right now. This is the European as of yesterday afternoon here versus the GFS, the global forecast system, the USA model on the right versus the European on the left. So there goes our current system here. Again, we get the transient ridge moving through. Both models show that. And then the both models show this next system rolling in here as we go through the weekend. GFS maybe a little bit more stout with this troughing. And then we go on into the early portion of July, and you can see the ridge building here on both models, a little bit stronger on the European. But watch what happens. If you guys remember yesterday, the deterministic models were not showing this troughing. It was showing some strong ridging and actually some warmer conditions for the 4th of July. But this is right about when the fireworks are going off. The fireworks shows there on the night of the 4th of July. And you can see the GFS and the European are both kind of flip-flopped here and showing this system now trying to move through as we go through the 4th of July here. So interesting stuff to watch as we go on in through the early portion of July. And then you can see the model start to diverge a little bit here. The European wants to dig a trough, but you got to take that with a grain of salt, looking way too far off into the future. Now looking at the European, this is today, Wednesday, 69, and you can see a little bit of a bounce back through this weekend here, a little bit of a roller coaster ride here. We'll see what that next system has in store for us. But then you can see it bounces back a little bit here with that ridging, but then that next troughing is going to be hot on its heels there. So something exciting to watch as we go through the week to 10-day period. And if we look at the ensemble members here, you can see the European is running 50 of these ensemble members here. All of them, their initial conditions are tweaked to try to correct for any misunderstandings in the initial conditions of the atmosphere. And then you can look off into the future and you can see how some runs have like some upper 80s kind of mixed in there. Some are much cooler down into the 60s. So you kind of see the uncertainty here once you get off into the extended forecast. So that's something we're going to be watching and breaking down over the next few days. Taking a look at 24-hour precipitation total. So if we look on into tomorrow morning, look at that, Seattle with a 1/4 inch of rain by the time tomorrow morning. Do you believe the European here? And higher amounts across the higher terrain. And again, thunderstorm threat will be in play here as we go through the day today. And British Columbia getting some decent amounts, as well as Alberta, the Rocky Mountains get some much needed rainfall up there. We could definitely use a shot of rain or two before the 4th of July gets here. And as we go towards the end of the month, you can see Seattle maybe picking up another, 1/6 of an inch of rain or so, and some other areas could get a bit of rain, and this could have thunderstorm potential as well as we go on into the weekend and on into early next week. Now, taking a look at the 6 to 10 day, this was updated, I believe, yesterday. In fact, I'm going to skip by these and let's go ahead and show you I'm going to back up here and we're going to show you these because this was updated the 25th. I don't think the other one was updated. So taking a look at the July 1st through 5th time frame here, you can kind of see how we have this below average signal across the Pacific Northwest. And then if we take a look here at the precipitation, we do have that above average signal here. So I don't think too many people are going to complain if we can get a couple shots of rain before the 4th of July comes here. You know, and cut down on that fire potential for sure. 8 to 14 days, something similar with a below average here across the Pacific Northwest. This goes through July 9th. And there's that below average signal here for precipitation across some of Oregon, kind of creeping into Washington, Idaho, and Montana. Then all of a sudden you've got this above average signal across some portions of Washington up into British Columbia. And also, let's take a look at the National Blend of Models. This is for today. It calls for 72 for Seattle. Not a bad morning out there right now. It's actually fairly clear across some of the region, but those clouds are going to be overspreading the areas we go through the day today. A little bit chillier tomorrow. You can see 67, some low mid 60s there across southwest BC, and of course chillier across the higher terrain. And you can really see the suppression of temperatures even east of the Cascades as we go through tomorrow with that system overhead. Then we bounce back a little bit Friday and Saturday, and then we might bring another system here as we start to go through Sunday into Monday and drop those temperatures back down yet again. On 4th of July, let's scroll out and kind of see that. The National Blend of Models calling for somewhere in the mid 70s. Not too bad here, but again, we'll see because some of the models, like I showed you, are showing a system swinging in, and some models are showing some kind of ridging going on here and hanging out with us until the 4th of July. So interesting stuff, fun stuff to look at here upcoming. This is the fire potential. I don't believe this is updated since I put this forecast out yesterday, but there are going to be some portions of the Pacific Northwest here. At times it'll be under moderate and elevated risk, and you can kind of see that here as well. So interesting stuff. But yeah, I will have my eyes on the sky today. I was already out doing a little bit of time lapse here with some of the clouds moving across the region. But again, we have that thunderstorm potential. You can see you got a couple thunderstorms ongoing as we speak across southeast Oregon and even across some of Idaho there. I haven't seen any additional lightning strikes across this yet, but that could change as we go through the later morning and afternoon hours. So again, eyes on the sky. Anyway, hope you guys can check out that La Nina video I did of the update. I continue to do these monthly updates as we go. So I'll put that down in the bottom left here. You should be able to click on that video after you're done watching that if you want to check it out and see the latest on the La Nina forecast here as we go on into the fall and the winter months. Otherwise, hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.